Welcome back to the channels. My name is Thomas Fletcher and I'm host of both the LCSW Network and the Military Social Work Network. If you are new to both of my channels, please do me a favor by smashing that like button, by subscribing to the channels, and by sharing this video with your social work colleagues and friends. The purpose of both of these channels is to create a community of hope and support, where social workers can come for relevant news, information, and inspiration. Welcome back to Ask a Military Social Worker. So, in today's episode, we will be talking about what are the differences between Armed Forces Day, Veterans Day, and Memorial Day. These are three very different holidays that I think in today's day and age get mixed up, or there's a lot of overlap. So in today's show, we will be covering the unique differences between each of these military holidays. And this episode is specifically for our viewers in the United States. I know other countries have Armed Forces Day and Armistice Day or Veterans Day, but in this episode, we are only going to be speaking for the three military holidays in the United States, okay? So, since this episode will first air on Armed Forces Day, we are gonna start off by talking about what is Armed Forces Day. So Armed Forces Day is a military holiday that was created by President Truman in 1949. It first went into effect in May of 1950. And it was created as a way to recognize the currently serving service members in the United States Armed Forces, all branches. So prior to 1949, all of the branches reported to separate departments. You had a Department of the Army, Department of the Navy, a new department of the Department of the Air Force. But by 1949, all of these departments were consolidated under a new department, a Department of Defense. So we still have in today's day and age, we still have a Department of the Army, Department of the Air Force, Department of the Navy, but all of these departments report to one Secretary of Defense, okay? So prior to 1949, we had an Army Day, a USMC Day, a Navy Day, an Air Force Day, a Coast Guard Day. But again, after 1949, 1950, we have a consolidated Armed Forces Day where all branches of the military are recognizing their currently serving service members. Okay? That's the distinct difference between Armed Forces Day and, let's say, Veterans Day, right? Armed Forces Day, we are recognizing, we are saluting, we are celebrating the service men and women that are currently serving in our U.S. Armed Forces, okay? So Armed Forces Day is celebrated on the third Saturday in May, okay? The next military holiday in the United States that we will talk about is Memorial Day, because that'll be the next date that I air this episode. So Memorial Day started out back in 1868. We got to give credit to the woman who is given credit for creating the holiday, Mary Ann Williams. According to the National Cemetery Administration, which is a subdivision of the Department of Veterans Affairs, Mrs. Mary Ann Williams was responsible for starting our tradition by putting American flags over the graves of service members that died during the Civil War. And this is both men that died in the Union Army, as well as men that died in the Confederate Army. Okay, so this started in 1868. In 1971, the holiday was rebranded as what we know it today as Memorial Day. And we celebrate in the United States This Memorial Day is a federal holiday, so federal agencies are off on that day, and it is celebrated on the last Monday in May. Okay, so again, Memorial Day is all about recognizing, and actually, in 1970, well, after the Civil War, starting with World War I, and then moving forward with the other wars, World War II, Korean War, Vietnam War. As we've had more wars, we've expanded the recognition of servicemen and women who have perished during their service in these different conflicts. Okay, so that is the important distinction of Memorial Day. Oftentimes, civilians may be thanking veterans, or maybe thanking currently serving service members with "Thank you for your service" on Memorial Day. But Memorial Day is not. It's not about the servicemen and women that are still alive, and it's not about our veterans who are also still alive. Memorial Day is a special day where we are giving tribute, where we are remembering the ultimate sacrifice that men and women have made to this country by sacrificing their lives, to defend liberty, to defend this country. That's what Memorial Day is about. We are remembering the men and women who have died in past conflicts, starting with the Civil War. And I would say now we probably extended it retroactively back to men and women who died in the Revolutionary War. But again, Memorial Day started out as Decoration Day in 1868 to initially memorialize the men who died in the Civil War. Okay. Lastly, our last military holiday that we recognize in the United States is Veterans Day. So Veterans Day initially started out on November 11th, 1918 as Armistice Day. So this was the official end of World War I. And Armistice Day is actually recognized across the world, across all of the countries that participated. I would say the major countries that participated in World War I have their version of what we call Veterans Day. I think many countries still call it Armistice Day in Europe. So Armistice Day was created to recognize the service of the men and the women who originally served in World War I, but then after World War II and Korean War and Vietnam War, it has since been expanded all the way to the present day. We recognize veterans that have served in OEF, OIF, OIR, and veterans that are being discharged to this very day. We recognize the service of the men and the women who have served in past and present conflicts. Okay? So again, and we recognize Veterans Day is always recognized. It's a federal holiday in the United States. It's a federal holiday. So Veterans Day is always recognized on November the 11th. And when November 11th falls on a holiday, falls on a weekend, it will be either recognized as a holiday either on the Friday or the Monday, either preceding, before, or after whenever the 11th falls. Okay. So again, just to summarize, Armed Forces Day is a recognition of the men and women currently serving in the armed forces of the United States. And Armed Forces Day is not a federal holiday. It always falls on the third Saturday in May. Memorial Day is a federal holiday, falling on the last Monday in May. And it is in remembrance of men and women who have died while they were serving their country in battle, in wars. And then Veterans Day recognized on November the 11th, which is a federal holiday. It is originally, again, it originally started at the end of World War I, but now it has been expanded to recognize the service of all veterans in all past and current conflicts that the United States has participated in. And it's a recognition of, again, men and women who have served and who have now been discharged or have retired from the military. Okay, so it's a recognition of veterans that are currently living. Okay, so I want to thank you all for watching this video. For all the social workers and other licensed mental health professionals, thank you for the work that you do every day, for your clients, for your agency, and for the profession. Please continue to support each other and yourselves. Bye for now.